YouTube, I'm going to walk you through step by step how I created this stunning Brutalist poster design. I'm going to fill you in on all the secret sauce I use for texture, so make sure to stick around till the end and you can see it for yourself. Let's jump in. Okay, so this is the original poster design. I'm going to feature this as a reference so that I can come back and see some individual effects and walk you through them. So if I come out to File, New, let's make this new canvas. I'm going to use 3840 by 4800 pixels. This is a standard for all my poster design work. And then come up to View, Guides, and New Guide Layout. Now, I'm simply going to use a 3-column layout of 100 pixel gutter, 200 pixel margins all around. And then the first step is I'm going to paste in the image. See, I've got it sized here so it's slightly shrunk instead of being full size. This is just so I have enough space to work with text and everything around the outside. As this doesn't fill the whole canvas, let me just eyedrop the background, come down to the background layer, Command backspace to fill that. So now the only typeface I'm going to be using for this poster is Bigger Display. I featured it recently in my top 5 typefaces to use in the new year, so be sure to check that out. There's some really good options on there. Now, I'm not going to make this solid white. I'm going to just drag this in diagonally slightly on a kind of orange hue and select OK there. Now I'm just going to center align it, use the transform tools to fill it up to the grid lines. Okay, so now we want the text behind the mask, so this is just very simple here. We're going to select the image, come up to Select, Subject to Outline, and then we're going to mask this and drag the text underneath. Okay, so my first key tip in poster design is going to be to reuse your assets. If you're creating new text, don't press T, start typing it out, reformatting and all of that. Use what we've already got to save time. So I'm going to duplicate the infinity layer, bring that above the image, and then I'm going to bring this down to work with for a subtitle. So for the sizing, I'm going to use the golden ratio. So I'm going to select my point size, divide this by 1.618, and I'm going to do this 3 times to get the right size that I want. Okay, now that that's formatted, let me bring that into the center. Then I'm just going to use the center justify tool, decrease the leading here, and then center align. I'm going to bring that down to just above the grid lines as I'm going to include more text. This is now the area I'm going to be selecting this body text down here. So now this is different. As I want it in a text box, I'm going to be drawing it out just so I can format this individually. I'm going to stretch that out to about here, and I'm just going to paste in the text. Now, this is already sized correctly, but what I used is I continued using the golden ratio, shrunk it down, or you can pick a point size that works for you. Just drag the top of the text box here, make sure it all fits in, and there we go. Now, just to add in these small subs here, I'm going to once again select the subtitle, duplicate this, and then shrink this down and type in my text. Again, really utilize duplicating and copy pasting. And now as I've got these 2 texts either side, I'm going to highlight them both, use Command T, and then just assure that they are centered. And there we go. Okay, now to just bring in the assets here that you can see on the original, I've got these squares and this gradient line going across. Very simple stuff. I'm just going to grab the rectangle tool, show the grid lines using Command colon. I'm just going to hold Shift and draw in these shapes. On the stroke setting, I'm going to select this icon here and I'm going to make sure it's set to inside so that when I make a duplicate and change the fill, the squares remain the same size. I'm going to get rid of the stroke, set the fill as white, then select both of these, Command J to duplicate, and I'm going to drag them over to the other side and flip them. Now simply select the stroke color, change this to another color in the image. So let me come over to the line tool. I'm going to make sure that I'm selected underneath the head image so that it goes behind, and I'm going to draw this line in. Now you can see I've already got a gradient selected here. So what I have done, make sure that the line tool is selected, come over to this stroke section. Now you will see this with fills. You want to select this gradient icon at the top, and you can see you've got this gradient bar here. So I'm going to start with a red, which is already input. Then I'm going to add in points just by clicking, and then use the eyedropper tool to select colors throughout the image. Then slide these across. I'm just going to select a blue there. And now you can see that you're not seeing the color difference across the line. That is because the angle is not right. So I'm going to change this from 90 degrees to 0. And now there we go. We can see the color going across. Okay, now another key with Brutalist poster design is definitely the textured elements. So if I zoom into the text here, you can see it blends really well with the background, and it's really got this distressed outline the whole way throughout the piece across all of the text and assets. It's the same across this colored line here and the squares. So what you need before you work on a text is you need the texture layer that you're going to use. So for example here, I have this transparent texture layer from Design Syndrome. I will link it in the description. If I put this on full opacity, you can see, I'll just move this around, you can see the texture that it creates. So what I need to do is save this as a displacement map so that I can apply it to other assets. So I'm going to bring this texture file over to my working file, and I'm going to place it where I want it. I'm going to stick about there. Now once I've done this, I need to hide every other layer. So let me select all of them, group them, and then hide this. So let me also hide the background. And now you want to come up to File, Save As, and you want to save your file name as displacement. Make sure that it's a Photoshop format and save. Now simply just use Command Z to undo all these steps. Make sure that if you ungroup everything there, that is ideal. And now I'm just going to hide this texture again. Now to apply this, I need to apply it in 2 separate ways. The first is all of the text that is above the image. That is because if I combine all the text in one layer and add this mask back, this text will now be below. So I'm going to group every asset that is above the head image. I'm going to duplicate it and hide the original. I'm then going to convert this to a smart object so I can apply some effects to it. I'm then going to come up to filter, distort, and displace. I'm going to set the scales to 10 on each. Then I'm going to select the file that we've just saved as the PSD and hit open. You can see now that this is applied, it's got this really good distressed text the whole way around the outside. And this will also align with the texture itself so that it looks as if it's blended on it. Now I'm going to repeat this step with the text that was under the image. So I'm going to select both of those, group them, duplicate, and convert to a smart object, and making sure that I hide the original. Then if you come up to filter, display should already be there. So you're going to select that, apply the same scale, and select the same file again. Now you can see that this is applied, creates some really nice inconsistencies in texture across the text and the shapes here. And then if I reveal my texture layer, you can see how well it aligns with the original file. You can see it breaks in this text here across the tear. It creates a nice bit of displacement here across the text as if it's warping to the bend in the page. And then if I just adjust the opacity down here to 80%, this is the final design. You know, I can zoom in, I can just show you these texture elements here. Really nice effects throughout, and there we go. YouTube, as always, thank you for watching until the end. I really do appreciate it, and I hope that I can help you in some way or another. Stick around for more content like this, and make sure to subscribe. See you soon.